Okay, welcome back. Today we're just going to do some basic furnace maintenance for winter. Before I usually turn on the furnace for winter, I like to just do a little checkup. As you can see, this is the exhaust line right here, where it goes up to your roof. This is just the intake, kind of for like a high efficiency Goodman. The one thing I want to point out with this exhaust is there is a drain line that connects to it. So basically, if you get water in the pipe or condensation, usually internally, it kind of like comes out to this little box here and just kind of like runs to the pump. And so sometimes these little tubes here on the side get blocked. Debris, twigs, anything. So we just want to clean that up. So I'm going to show you how. So basically you got to take this front plate off. Basically you can have two 8mm hexagon shaped screws. It shouldn't be too hard. So basically just two screws and it kind of slides off. Okay, so I took the cover off and just wanted to explain one item before we get started on the internals is the filter itself. And so you typically want to replace this every month or a month and a half or two, depends on how often it's being used. I usually try to change it at least twice in the summer because the AC is always running. So this one here is a 20 by 25 by 1. You can get a lot of different sizes. Just make sure read what your manual or recommendation for your particular model is. And pretty much it just slides out. You got this little indication where it says airflow. So you just gotta make sure it's pointing up. This is pretty much the intake, and the air goes through here. Okay, so here's a clean filter right here, and here's a dirty filter. It's probably been there about 2 months or less. So this is why you should probably change it out. You can see a huge difference between the two, pretty much exact same name brand. Okay, so before you begin anything, it's good to make sure that your heat or AC system is off, and usually you have an internal switch or some type of power switch to turn everything off. So in my case, I got this one right here, and it pretty much just shuts off the system. I can show you the thermostat, just right here. I like to always confirm, make sure it's on the off position, and so that way you don't electrocute or get a little shock or anything like that. Now I want to explain to you, as I was telling you before, is you got your exhaust line. And your exhaust line goes to your roof, so sometimes you get condensation and water coming through. And you have these little tubes, if you can see it, kind of like that go out to your drain line, come here. And there's a little bit of flexible tubes, there's no glue or anything like on them. You just kind of like detach them and just make sure there's no debris in them. Because if they're clogged or anything like that, what happens is the water doesn't go through down here and it runs through here and gets clogged, and pretty much your little pump thing here will collect water. And what happens is when that collects water is you have this pressure switch. Basically safety feature is when you first turn it on, this line tries to push out water, or just to see if anything's clogged. It doesn't push out water, but it just kind of like wants to see if there's anything clogged. And if there's water collected up in here, it's like, okay, hey, I can't push the air out, and it'll pretty much, your furnace is going to start clicking. Basically it's going to try to turn on, but it won't. It'll turn off and try again later. So eventually it'll kick on, maybe after 5 tries or maybe 5 minutes. But that's a good indication to know, hey, 1, you got water in here, and 2 is your line is clogged. So I would unclog the lines first. You have to physically take this apart and basically just disconnect it here. There's a couple of screws, and it's not complicated, and just pretty much drain out the water. And once the water's cleared up in here, then you should be perfectly fine. Okay, here's a closer look at those lines coming out of there. Basically just like a little flexible, I guess rubber tubing, and you kind of just want to pull it out and just clear it up with either just blow through it or just take it to a sink and just blow it out. I've already kind of went through mine. Usually you can try just squeezing the tubes. If you feel any blockage, then you gotta clean it out. Well, I try to pretty much clean mine out every 6 months. So like I said, it's pretty easy to pull out. I'll show you on this side how to pull out one of these other tubes. Okay, so basically just pull on it, and you can kind of try to take a look or just blow through it, push some water through it. This one's I can just tap on it, it's hollow, so I already cleaned it out. There was nothing in it this time. Like I said, I usually clean it every 6 months, and you just pretty much slide it back. Just gotta make sure it connects back on the other side. And so yeah, this one looks pretty fine. So another thing to look at is your exhaust lines that go to your pump where eventually it drains out. So a lot of times you get like a little cleaning device, and you pretty much just kind of stick it through in this opening area. You just kind of clean it out. So I'll usually just stick the brush in there and just kind of like make sure you just get that a little bit cleaned, and the buildup doesn't stick there. You can throw bleach if you want to clean up the line. That's pretty good, but just kind of have to drain that out with a bunch of water. So I'll probably do the same thing as with this. I'll probably just remove this and get some water to drain in here and clean it out, and eventually just go to the pump and get pumped out. And so always good to check your lines. For my pump, the line kind of like goes here, so as you can see, it does get a little bit discolored. Right now there's nothing in there, but you do want to, like I said, throw a little bit of bleach in there. It'll help clean it up. And so I'm not sure if there's other professional cleaners, but that usually works for me. Okay, so I just pour a bunch of water. Basically there's like an opening here for me. Just, put a bunch of water in there after I cleaned it, and as you can see, it's much more clear. Before it was like brown and murky. And you want to put enough water where at least you want to make sure that your pump runs and drains out. So before I didn't have any water in my line, and now I can see water in my line. So like I said, still this part is still like brown and murky. So what I'm going to do is just throw a little bit more water and some bleach, just kind of clear up the line. Okay, as you can see, I kind of like disconnected that line, make sure there's no debris or anything like in there. So I'll reconnect it. I already checked to make sure there's nothing in there. That's usually where you get all the twigs and the dirt. Okay, so the next thing I want you guys to take a look at is this line right here. It goes from this pump, exhaust pump, to a pressure switch. You can basically just squeeze on it and make sure there's nothing blocking or anything like that. If there's some type of blockage, then obviously your system is not going to work properly. So it's an easy clean out. Instead of paying $100 or $200 to have someone come out here, you basically just pull the tubes off. There's nothing holding in place, and you just clear out. Either blow through it or just take it to the sink and just wash it out. Okay, so I'm just gonna pull this off, and you can pretty much take the whole thing off, take it to your sink, just wash it off, and you can pretty much feel through it if there's anything blocking or anything like that. Then it shouldn't be. But you don't want to pay someone $100, $200, just come here and just clean a line that you could have done in like easy 5 seconds, and just pretty much just reconnect it, and everything should be fine now. So we checked the exhaust drain line, we checked the pressure switch that goes to the exhaust pump, we checked our pump to make sure it works, we changed our filter, and we should be pretty much ready to go. Like I said, this simple little maintenance goes a long way. If you see dirt or debris, just kind of like clear it up, light vacuum or something like that. Okay, so just quick recap on where if you see water, it's a sign that you have some issues going on. It is if you see rust or water kind of like inside of your internal furnace, that means your drain lines are not working properly. And if you see water or rust kind of on top, then you probably have some type of leakage between your furnace and your AC system. So you might want to have that checked out. This being a little bit more severe than here. Hopefully your place is well ventilated so the air flows through. Okay, so got the system closed back. Like I said, it was just 2 screws. Cleaned up everything. Now let's try to turn on the heat. And so right now it says my house is 72. I'm gonna put on heat. It says 74. And let's see the system kick on. You see some flames coming out here. Everything's working well. It's not clicking on and off, so it's a good indication. If you do have some issues where it turns on and tries to turn off, here we go, here's a flame. You have a little indication lights right here. And if it, the number of LED when it beeps is indication of how many or what the problem is in your manual. So we got the flames going, everything looks good. And so heat's probably gonna kick on soon. Like I said, I just want to wait until the entire system kicks on because, there we go, is if your flame goes out while it's trying to kick on, then it's an indication that your exhaust line is blocked. So as a security measure, it's pretty much stopping and letting all the gases come in your house. So everything's working well, the heat's on, and my Goodman system is about like 6 years old. So proper maintenance, and you can probably last another 10-15 years hopefully.